quiet of the night where dreams take flight. Voices whisper softly, shining like the stars so bright. Every heart has a story, don't you ever forget. Let's open our minds, share the journey, no regret. Here we gather, a circle of hope, sharing laughter and tears, we learn just how to cope. Every tale we tell, it helps to heal our souls. In the space of understanding, together we become whole. So let the words flow, let the music rise. In your head with Shannon, the stories come alive. Every heartbeat echoes where our spirits thrive. From fears to triumphs, we'll paint the skies anew. In this podcast journey, I'm here with you.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to In Your Head with Shannon Standiford. I've missed you. First off, thank you. Truly, whether you've been with me since episode 1 or you're just tuning in, I appreciate you showing up. We just hit the 5-year anniversary of the show in February, and honestly, that still kind of blows my mind. 5 years of stories, struggles, laughter, and connection. But I'll be real with you. After that milestone, I needed a break. Life and work started to stack up in ways I couldn't ignore, so I took a little step back. Not because I was done, but because I was tired, and I know I'm not alone in that. Which brings me to this moment and to why I think it's kind of a perfect thing that we're back together in June. It's Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. It's a reminder that caring for our minds isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Sometimes you gotta pause, unplug, and breathe. Not forever, just long enough to remember who you are and why you're here. And I'm here because this show matters. You matter. And taking care of ourselves and each other, it matters more than ever. So let's jump into today's conversation because it's a powerful one. I'm once again joined by Rosie Chapman, who has come on the show multiple times, but is always a pleasure to have. Rosie is a force. She's an advocate, a fighter, and one of the most real people I've had the honor of connecting with. She lives with lupus, but she doesn't just talk about it. She embraces it. She shows up in the world not just as someone who battles this chronic illness every single day, but as a voice, a leader, and a community builder. And right now, she's helping lead the charge for the Lupus Awareness Walk in Columbus, Ohio, a cause she's deeply passionate about, both as an advocate and as someone personally affected. This episode goes deep. We talk about the invisible illness, mental health, self-advocacy, and what it means to keep showing up even when it's hard. Rosie's perspective is grounded, honest, and full of heart. And I think you're going to walk away from this conversation feeling both seen and inspired. So settle in, take a breath, and let's get into it. This is In Your Head with Shannon Standiford, and we're back exactly when we needed to be. Well, we're back. It's been a very long, extended break, but I'm sure you already heard it because the intro. So we're back with Rosie Chapman. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So is that from your little partnership or your little excursion with?
Actually, this
Carmex?
is one of the ones that Carmex sent me like about a year ago. So yeah. Brought to you by our sponsor.
Her sponsor, not mine.
Yeah. I'm not really sponsored, by the way. That was a joke. It was just me being silly.
So, how you been?
Yeah. Honestly, it has been a rough year. Probably from actually about this time last year. My health has not been wanting to cooperate, and so it's been a little tough. But I have a new specialist next month, so I'm hoping that they're going to kind of level things out and get it under control. There's a lot of things happening with my health right now that trying to get under control, I guess.
So, that sucks. I know it's been kind of a rough few months since the last time we talked.
Yeah.
Not just with the health. So we'll get into this later. So one of the reasons why this episode is happening is because we've got a big event coming up that we're trying to promote,
Right,
and that being the Lupus Walk there in Ohio.
right.
So
So
let's
yeah,
talk about that.
it is on June 28th. And the really cool thing is, the little Broken Braid Squad band of weirdos that we've built. You know, there are so many people that support what we're doing that this lupus walk in Ohio has gotten rolled into this big BBS meetup as well. So it's like we get all of these people that get to come in and we all get to be in the same room with each other either again or some for the first time. And so, but the Lupus Walk itself is on June 28th, and it is in Columbus, Ohio. They have multiple two different walks, I think, in the state of Ohio, but I'm closest to Columbus, so that's the one that we participate in. And I'm super excited. Our team has been so far, even through illness and trying to get fundraising done and things like that. So far, we are still at the top, um, because anytime we do this, everybody just shows up and shows out to do as much as they can. And I'm so beyond grateful. There are a lot of people who have lupus that don't have that kind of support. And for a very long time, I didn't either. So I just feel blessed and really proud of our team. And I'm just super excited.
And it is very exciting. You guys have been able to raise a lot of money.
We are
Just-
close to $4,000 right now, and we still have a couple of things going on right now that are going to contribute to that as well. So I look for us to come in a little over 4,000. We came over the first year I did this. Like, I do want to kind of just go over the history a little bit. I did this walk for the first time in 2015. So it's my like 10-year walk anniversary this year. And when I did it the first time, um, when I did it the first time, I had like 5 people on my team. And so it was like my mom and my sister and like a couple of family members and stuff. And I don't know if this was the case, but to me at the time, it felt like they were like, okay, we got to do this, like we have to do this type of thing. And then I did it for like a few years in a row and then got really depressed and didn't do literally anything. And then they canceled it for a while because of COVID. And then in 2023, they brought the actual in-person walk back. They didn't cancel them, let me say. They did virtual walks. And it just wasn't the same. And so, would you stop? And so, when it came back in 2023, I found out about a month ahead of time. And I had mentioned it in passing to these guys because it was like everybody is everywhere, like people all over the place. So I was like, oh, yeah, I think I'm going to do this walk, and so I think we can use TikTok to fundraise. And then the next thing I know, it's like, okay, what do we do? We're coming in. We're coming in. And I'm like, okay. And I was beyond thrilled. Don't get me wrong, but I never expected them to be like, we're jumping in our cars. We're coming out to support you. So like the first year we did it, I think we maybe had like 15 or 16 team members, which is still a big team. Most people have 5, 6, something like that, like I did. And then we raised, I'd have to look at the actual numbers at some point, but it was over $3,000 the first year in like a month. And then the second year, last year, we did like $5,600 or something, I think. And then this year we are close to 4,000. And this year I have not been able to be as gung ho as I normally am. That's my dog, by the way, if anybody's wondering. I don't know why he chose this moment. But because of my health and all of that, I have not been able to be as gung ho and as proactive as I'd like. But we still are close to $4,000, even with it being a little bit complicated to do. So my team, which a lot of them are commenting and trying to make us laugh, which I
Yes.
appreciate, but my team is amazing. and I love them so much, and they are constantly, what do you need? Like, how can we help? And I could not be more grateful for that.
It's a good team. It's a good team.
It is.
I mean, even Brian, which
He's
I
I.
know is in the chat. I'm pretty
He's
sure
I.
he said in there, and I caught it as it popped up, don't make you cry this time.
Yeah.
No promises.
Yeah, I feel like every time I do something even remotely like this, so I did the LFA's Facebook Live yesterday, and they asked me about Madison, which I should have been prepared for, but I wasn't for some reason because they were like, hey, come on and talk about the walk. So I thought we were going to be talking about fundraising and all of that. So then they asked me about her, and I was like, I got like real choked up. So I feel like every time I do something like this, I end up having those moments where I'm just like, not gonna do it, not gonna do it.
Well, this is awkward because we're going to bring up Maddie at
That's
some
okay.
point.
That's
So,
okay.
all right. So you're raising all this money. You're getting prepared. I do have to ask a couple questions about the walk and your health. How important is it for you to get your health under control so you can, at least for a day, not feel like you've been run over by 18,000 trucks?
Um, it's funny that you ask that because that's not gonna happen by the time this happens. So it's like, with this thing with lupus, whether you're in a good spot with your health or not, um, everything is a
Exactly.
trade-off. Yeah, he's upset. Everything is a trade-off. You know what I mean? Like normal people don't think about things like going and walking through the grocery store, or yes, Messy says hi to everybody. Walking through the grocery store, or if they want to go and do something fun, they don't think about how many steps it takes from the parking lot to where you're going, or what you're going to pay for that day. You know what I mean? And that's constantly a thing with us, but especially when you're having things that aren't even normal for your abnormal, it's a huge thing. But because I have, again, specialist time is what it is, and stuff like that. It's like one of. Give me 1 second. Let me put him away. I'm sorry,
It's fine.
because he's gonna sit there and yell at me the whole time. Come on, buddy.
Yes, he will.
Come on,
Yes.
go. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
I just kicked over my Mountain Dew too.
Way to go. Fail.
Anyway, because specialist time is what it is. Like a couple of things that are in the works for me is, as most of you know, I have been having issues with my stomach for over a year now, where I'm having a really hard time losing weight, and I'm having a lot of hard time eating a lot of the time and stuff like that. So I made a specialist appointment for that because the people that are here where I'm at that I was seeing, they don't know what to do. They don't have, it's a smaller place, they don't have enough knowledge and things like that. So they want me to go to a bigger specialist, which is great. But I made the appointment in November, and I took their first available in July 21st. So it's just all of this time of just waiting and waiting and waiting to try to get into these places. And then my lupus is really out of control as well. So they want to put me on infusions, but then it takes 2 to 3 weeks to get that done. So it's all of this hurry up and wait scenario. So by the time the walk gets here, I will not have started my infusions. I will not have, you know, seen that specialist. However, one of the things with chronic illness that a lot of people get onto you for it, but like when you have something, it's like you have to live your life. You can't just survive, like, so these things like this are 150 million% worth the cost where you feel like you got hit by 50 trucks. So, yeah. But it is very important. To answer your question that I didn't answer and went on a whole tangent, it is
I'm used to it.
extremely, I'm sorry, this is a mess, but I literally have Mountain Dew on my feet. Hang on. I'm so sorry. I thought I had my stuff together. I
Well,
have to at
honey,
least put a towel down, or I'm gonna step down and I'm gonna have Mountain Dew feet.
this show isn't anything if it doesn't involve chaos in any kind of way.
Yeah, sorry. The OCD kicked in, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, I'll clean it up later. And then I'm like, I can't do it. Okay, sorry. Returning to the scene of the crime here.
So, all right. So, let's. I mean, we brought her up, so we'll just kind of try to get the
Yeah,
most emotional part out of the way.
I'm great
You
with
are,
talking about her because she was really open with her story and it helped a lot of people and it connected a lot of people.
it
So,
did.
yeah, I'm really good with talking about her. It's just when I get caught off guard, I get super emotional about it.
So, for
So,
those of the audience that listens or watches the show, we'll explain who Maddie was, not just to you,
okay,
but first,
for
who
sure.
she was as a person, and then your connection with her.
So, I met Maddie her on TikTok, and her name on TikTok, her page is still up and all of that. Of course, her name is Meaty, Meatymadds, Meaty Mads, and it was some kind of like, I don't know, it was weird, and I was always like, what is up with that? And she's like, oh, it was some kind of gamer handle that she'd had for years for Call of Duty or something. So I met her on TikTok about 3 years ago now, and you meet a lot of people. Like, lupus is not horribly uncommon. I mean, it is in like the general population, but as far as like illnesses and disorders go, it's not one of those 1 in a million type of things. So you meet a lot of people that have lupus and stuff like that. But the thing that struck me about her is she has lupus, or she had lupus and pulmonary hypertension secondary to lupus, which are the exact two main diseases that I have. And I've never met anybody else with that combination. Pulmonary hypertension is a lung disease that actually like narrows the vessels in your lungs, so your lungs can, if it's not properly controlled with medication, you will need a lung transplant. And she had to. So I met her on TikTok. And ironically, I did not know this, of course, when I came across her. She only lived like 2 hours from me in Southern Ohio. So at the time, I was like, oh, it's another random TikTok person. It's cool that they have, the same diseases and I. And she was in the hospital all the time, the entire time I knew her. Um, her lungs would flare. Her lupus was out of control. And one of the reasons why it was so severe with her so young, she was only 28. So one of the reasons it was so severe with her so young is because in Southern Ohio, and in Ohio in general, you don't have a lot of access to, like I just explained with the specialist, you don't have a ton of, it's on, you don't have a ton of access to really good providers. So she went years and years and years having symptoms of lupus and them not being treated. So when you have something like lupus, time is damage. One of the reasons it's so hard to manage is because if it's uncontrolled, it causes damage to your organs, to your skin, to your, everything because it's systemic. So by the time they found her lupus, she already had tons of damage. She had developed full blown non medication, past the point of medication pulmonary hypertension. So they were like, we need to get you on a transplant list. So to try to make a really long story shorter, she started advocating on TikTok to, for people with for lung transplant survivors, talking about that, talking about lupus and all of those things. And a lot of times when she was, doing live streams and stuff, she was in the hospital, literally just answering questions. I do not know how she did it because she would have 6,000 people in her chat, and her chat would just be going whoop, whoop, and she'd be catching questions here and there and answering the questions, and it was honestly kind of amazing. But so then, probably for about She passed away on December 30th of 2024. And probably for the last, I would say like year and a half that she was alive, she barely left the hospital. Um, and she didn't tell anybody how bad it was. She had talked to me a lot about medical things, and she told me, some of the things she was dealing with and stuff, and stuff like that. And so, but as far as how bad it actually was, she didn't voice that to anybody. So when it got really bad really quickly, it was a shock because it felt like, I don't want to say normal because nothing about a 28-year-old being that sick is normal. But the stuff that she was dealing with, the way that she was articulating that felt treatable or like something that she was going to come out of. But then come to find out, after she got really sick really fast and passed away, she had had persistent pneumonia for like a year, and her lungs just couldn't do it anymore, and she decided that she didn't want to, she was like, I don't want to be trached, you know what I mean? She made her own life decisions, which I absolutely agree with 100%. And, but it was hard, seeing a 28-year-old, and I know this sounds selfish, but seeing a 28-year-old struggle like that when they're battling the same things as you, and your case seems so much easier, is kind of hard. I'm 41, and my stuff's been managed and stuff like that, but I also I have issues, and I don't trust anybody to the point where I do all my own research all the time. And so I knew when to fight and when to advocate for myself, but not everybody knows that, which is one of the reasons that I do all of this talking all the time about it. So, but she was amazing. She did all kind of lupus advocacy on TikTok. People learned about lupus because of her. They learned about pulmonary hypertension because of her, which pulmonary hypertension actually is one of the ones that's kind of like a really rare one. Not a lot of people have it. So, people signed up to be organ donors based on her story. Um, yeah, she was putting it out there and telling her story in a really non-apologetic way. And it was beautiful. And, yeah, it was hard, but she was also funny and sarcastic and kind of a dick sometimes. And so I don't want to make her sound like she was just her illness, because she wasn't. But the biggest impact that she made was by doing that. I met Emily because of Maddie. Um, yeah, I wouldn't have met her otherwise. So I'm really grateful to her for a lot of things.
Yeah, she did. She did change a lot of lives, and there's nothing that I'm. I think that was one of the good things that kind of came out
Yeah,
of that horrible loss.
yeah,
Um, and I know for me, like, because I think I only interacted with her a couple times, and just watching her and how she had such a flair for not just advocacy, but I mean, she had a flair for life and just trying to make the best of what situation she had. She left an indelible mark on everybody. Um, but it was also one of those situations where I know for me, watching and then hearing about her, um, about losing her. I mean, it was one of those situations where you like, I know a couple people with lupus, and you and M being two of those. It was kind of like one of those sobering realities of like, shit.
yeah. This actually kills people.
Yeah.
Because that's the problem that we fight with a lot. We all make a lot of jokes about, but you don't look sick, because people say that to us all the time, and they're often, and she dealt with it. She's sitting in the hospital with oxygen on and IVs and stuff, and people are like, "Oh, you're faking," and all of this and that, because they can't see it on the outside. So we make a lot of jokes in the chronic illness community, like you don't look sick and stuff like that. But that's the problem, is that uh, lupus is such a wide scale. You have people that's lives aren't really affected that much. You have people somewhere in the middle like me, and then you have people on the side of like Madison. You know what I mean? I'm not going to talk about Emily too much because her main thing is kind of like CF, but like,
Hmm.
and that's another thing too, though, on the case of Emily is it's like you never have one thing, especially if you have something like lupus or cystic fibrosis or something like that. You never just have that. It's not like, okay, here's how we're going to treat this one thing. It's like you have at least people with lupus. I don't know what the statistic is, but nobody I know with lupus has less than 3 diagnoses. So you get put in this position where it's like, okay, we're going to treat this, but then you also have this. So we have to figure out how to treat that while treating this. Make sure your meds aren't like interacting and make sure that this isn't going to damage this part that's messed up. And then this thing over here, So it's like, and that was what happened with her is it was almost like this. It is like a lupus bingo card. It was like this perfect storm of things where it was like her lungs kept flaring up, but then they also couldn't get her lupus under control. And when you have lupus, everything is inflammation. So it was like this cycle of issues that just couldn't get better because it was one or the other all the time and they were playing off of each other. And the same thing happens to Emily. Emily goes through a rough time with cystic fibrosis, then her lupus is off and running and Ehlers-Danlos. You know what? I'm not even going to try to name all that girl's conditions because it's just nuts. But like, they all like play into this dynamic of just making everything worse all the time, and it's super hard to deal with.
Yeah, I bet. I know. Speaking of Emily, I know that she's been going through a lot. I haven't. I've been so busy with like life. What is the status like? Because that there was or is still going a GoFundMe for help with her um lung transplant.
Yes,
What do you
so
know?
yes, she has a GoFundMe up. She has an evaluation coming up actually, like about a little over a week after she gets back from here. So it's like this, it's intense. It's like a 10-day thing of different tests and different procedures and stuff for them to evaluate her for lung transplant. So I learned so much from Emily about transplant stuff because the way they make it look, TV shows, movies, or even when people talk about it is like, oh, okay, you need lungs. Let's list you and wait for a match. But there are so many things that have to go right for you to even be listed for the possibility. So she has to go through this whole big thing of testing, which the GoFundMe is to help with travel costs and things like that, and also the cost of her actual like appointments and stuff like that. But yeah, so she has an evaluation coming up, a 10-day evaluation, and then they will basically decide at some point after that if she is approved for a transplant. And a couple things have to happen after that, and then they decide to list her, or if that doesn't happen, then not. So that's another thing the GoFundMe is for, is so much is uncertain right now that if she for some reason doesn't get listed, which we are all praying upon prayers that she does. But if for some reason she doesn't, she wants to just live her damn life at least a little. And so, if that doesn't happen, the GoFundMe is basically going to fund her bucket list. So,
So, the sobering reality of everything. Does it ever get to you? I mean, I know we've talked about it
yes.
in the past, about how you've been able to, get out of dark places and stuff like that with, doing this and that, blah blah blah. But I mean, let's face it, in the last year, you know, we've
Yeah.
lost we lost Ken and we lost you lost Maddie. and then Emily's going through all this, and then your health has not exactly been great. How are you?
Yeah, there it is. Um, yeah, I don't know how to say it. Like, I'm not okay, but I'm not okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm doing the best that I can, and I'm absolutely like not falling off the deep end. But if I sat here and told you that I'm handling everything well and that everything is fine after all of that happening, I would be a liar. Because I have Emily, who I love so freaking much. And the one hard lesson that I've learned through this is I was always the sick person. I was always the person that was sick. I was always the person dealing with this. And there was never a time that I didn't know that it was hard for the people who love me. But the really hard lesson I have learned is that I would rather be sick than to love people who are sick because it's the most heartbreaking, helpless feeling. Like, I cannot tell you how many times I sat and prayed and cried for Emily and for Maddie and you know when that happened with Ken and stuff because it was like the end of my last year was like bam 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 bam. Like I had all of these things happen. Like I got really sick in June. I was admitted to the hospital multiple times. I came out and it was like then my nephew actually my nephew from my younger sister actually passed away a couple days after Ken. So it was like I got out in July. We did like, you know, all of this stuff. And then it was like the walk came up and it was great. I still wasn't feeling great, but it was great to see everybody. And then it was like not August, sorry, October, Ken passed away. A couple days later, my nephew passed away. And then it was like at the end of the year, Madison passed away, and I'm just like sicker than I've been in years through all of this. And then, like a couple of months ago, Emily got so sick. She got so sick, I didn't know if I was ever going to get a chance to hug her again. And that messed me up probably more than anything else. You know, like I was close with Maddie, don't get me wrong, but not like Emily. And so it messed me up and I don't talk I talk to people but I don't talk to a lot of people when I'm going through those times so like I'm talking to like two or three people like what am I gonna do if this happens, you know what I mean, like I was so overwhelmed and I'm still overwhelmed but I'm going, you know what I mean, I'm keeping going and I'm keeping doing what I can do. But one thing that I will say about losing Maddie is that it absolutely like I know people die from this. A lot of people don't realize that. They think it's like, oh, you have some joint pain, you have some rashes, you know, but you live your life. You don't live your life. Like it stops your life a lot of times. It stops your life or it ends your life. And so like her passing away at the age of 28 years old when it should have and could have been prevented absolutely lit a fire under my ass to keep doing 100 times more what we do with this, you know, like, and with everything that we do, with outreach to people, like with giving people a place to talk and giving people a place to be heard and be seen. Like, but no, I'm not okay. Um, but you know, I will be. I just, you know, life gets hard and you have to just find a way to get through it. But I will say that the times in the past when I've been really sick, it's a lot easier now because I have the right people in my life. I have people that I can talk to. I have people that if I called them from Alabama, you know, if I called Kimmy in Alabama and said, I'm sick and I need you, she would be here. Who can say that about somebody who lives 15 minutes away?
That's
So
true.
it makes it a lot easier. Like the mental battle in all of this is just as important, and a lot of people don't realize that. Sorry. Yep, there it is. You know, my crying out. I had already had that scheduled, so don't worry about it.
Your man. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. You, whenever I asked you to do this episode, you're like, all right. So at some point, he's gonna make me cry.
Yeah, it happens every time. It's weird to sit down and like, you deal with these things all the time, and you're just getting through it, and your brain is always going and stuff. But when you sit down and actually like lay this stuff out, it hits you a little different too. Like not in a bad way, like it's kind of therapeutic because there are things that probably the people that are watching right now have never heard me say before. There are a lot of people who did not know what a mess I was about Emily because I was just telling everybody like she's going through some stuff. This is what's going on, but it's going to be okay because I very much take on this role of protecting people where I can, and I'm proud of that. But also, like, there were those two of three people that like I'm giving these updates and saying, "Hey, everything's good," and then I'm messaging them going, "Ah," and they're like, "Okay." So I know it had to have caught them off guard, and I'm not super emotional anyway. So
Let's call it what it is. For a woman that may not have biological children, you, and I've said this before, you have
yeah,
adopted a bunch of overgrown children
I
as
have, and I'm very
as
proud
your
of
own.
that. I'm super proud of that. Like, as silly as it may seem, I do take on not only the pride of these people being so amazing, but also the responsibility of wanting them to be okay and trying to protect them from everything that I can whenever I can and to fix them when I can. You know what I mean? Like I very much take that seriously, and not because I feel like they need me to, but because I love you guys so freaking much. Like I want to like protect you from everything. So, yeah. I have a bunch of adult weirdo children.
You're not getting me, okay? Just so we're here.
Okay, moving on.
I got sweat in my eye. That's what that is.
Yeah, yeah. It was time for my eyeball flush out.
Yeah. All right. So, not only are you we the multiple times you've been on here, we've established the juggernaut that you are of the lupus awareness. You've also been very a strong supporter and just as fierce with men's mental health.
Yeah,
But mental health in general, but especially being around all of us guys that would rather crack a joke than actually talk about
yeah,
shit. Um,
yeah.
you've always been really good. Now, with this being June and this airing in June, because I will make sure that this goes up way before the walk, probably
Sure.
by the end of the weekend.
Yeah.
For some stupid reason, at least I know on my TikTok For You page, I see a lot of Men's Mental Health Month detractors.
Yes.
Be very professional here. Uh, and I dropped so many
I
C
might not
words.
be.
What does that do for you? I mean, whenever you see that or you hear that, because I
The
know what it
funny
does for me.
thing,
It just,
the
I know
funny
for
thing
us guys,
is,
it just makes us want to shut down more.
here's the ironic thing. Okay, so for any of you guys who saw the TikTok I made a little while ago, I did not know I was doing this podcast then. So this was like a last minute thing where he's like, I have time, do you have time, whatever. I just made a video about it like a few hours ago because I saw one of those videos and it made me angry. And it was essentially, this woman talking about how men are trying to monopolize or monetize mental health by having their own month, and all of this just honestly ridiculous nonsense about the men's victim mentality and stuff. So, of course, me being me, I stitched it so that I could make sure she saw it and explained that the entire here's the ironic thing. people making those videos, women making those videos, literally proves the point of why we need that, why we need a men's mental health month. Because we can sit here all day and compare men's mental health, women's health issues, men's health issues, but the point is that they're different. But that does not mean that one is less than the other. And to go off on a little bit of a rant for a second, we have to stop as men, women, sick people, healthy people, domestic violence people, SA people, people who have never, had anything bad that we, think of. We have to stop as people making trauma a competition, because it's not a competition. And like, I don't care if, you got stabbed and I got shot. One is not worse than the other. It's all traumatic. And everybody, whether you are a man, a woman, non-binary, I don't care what you identify, every person deserves a safe place to be able to talk about their mental health. It does not matter who you are, what you do, what has happened. If you stubbed your toe and that was traumatic for your day, it's kind of silly, but you should have a place where you can talk about that with somebody and not have it used against you or thrown back in your face. Like, why are we doing this with the trauma Olympics? It's ridiculous. I hate it so much. So yes, those videos make me very, very angry. So yeah.
Yeah.
Side note, check out that video I just did. You'll like it.
I might actually save it and put it in the episode.
Because it's ironic that you brought that up, because again, this was a last minute thing. I had made it
Yeah.
probably an hour or so before you and I had talked, and I was like, oh, that's ironic that got brought up.
Well, I just have a gift.
Because I do want to say though, I will absolutely offer my support. I will put my mouth out about men's mental health. But for me to sit here and make a video on the specifics of what men struggle with is ridiculous. Because I can tell people what I've heard from you guys, because you guys trust me enough to talk to me. But the whole point of this, the whole point of Men's Mental Health Month and encouraging men to speak up about DV and SA and all of the things, is that you guys tell your story, not anybody else. Like, the whole goal is for you guys to be able to stand up and say, this is what happened to me, this is what I'm dealing with, this is what I need, and to have that be heard and protected for you guys. So I don't speak on specifics and things like that. I will absolutely offer my support every single time. But the thing that I want to provide is a safe place for you guys to be able to be you and know that it's not going to be used against you, or you're not going to be told to suck it up and get over it.
Yeah, that's my favorite. Is grow up. Your life's
Yeah,
not that
grow
bad.
a pair.
Yeah, where we've clearly established that grow
It
a
should be badge
pair.
up.
Yeah, badge up. I mean, we've established that, and several months ago, that's a thing. I don't make the rules.
Actually, Jamie just said something really great, and that's something that I was kind of saying, but she said it, of course, because she's much more eloquent than me. Just because it's always been this way doesn't mean that's the way it should stay. And that's so true, because there are men on the flip side of us advocating for men's mental health and stuff. Men have to also take responsibility for standing up and owning it. You know what I mean? I know it's scary, and I can only imagine. You've had so many times people have done that to you and stuff like that. But if you guys keep saying, somebody's going to judge me, somebody's not going to listen, and you don't choose anyone and you keep this going, it will never stop. So just because it's always been done that way doesn't mean that's the way it should continue. And you guys got to step up and own your stories too. And I'm seeing that happen more, which is super encouraging. It just seems like the progress is slow.
Well,
It's
us
not
men,
weak to speak.
So, we tell you we're going to do something, 6 months later, you don't have to keep nagging at us to
Right.
continue to do it. We'll get to it eventually.
Right.
So, let's see. Trying to think. We talked about walk, talked about Maddie. Dun, 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 dun. Men's mental health. I had a checklist
I
in my
do
head.
want to throw something in really quickly, if you don't mind.
I
So,
don't
kind of
mind it.
going back to the point of the lupus walk and all of that, one thing I did want to throw in is Ohio is super, super connected, boots on the ground to patients for lupus. Okay. So, the LFA Greater Ohio chapter, which is what we're raising money for, it all goes to the same Lupus Foundation of America organization, but Ohio specifically has specific programs for Ohioans, and they are very good. How can I help you as a patient programs? And because we have a CEO and so many people driving that effort to keep these programs in place, the last few years they have fought for this item in the budget that gives them extra funding to do that. But that budget has been removed. So as of right now, they're not getting anything from the Ohio state government to help them. So this year in particular, it is very, very, very important that we are driving as much as we can to fundraise because this is the biggest event for the Lupus Foundation of the year. So if we can't at least support them enough to get them through this to try to get that item back in the budget, programs are going to get cut. And it's programs like uh, transportation assistance, providing food assistance to people that are in food deserts, because a lot of people don't think this, but there are tons of them in Ohio. Like half of Ohio is below the poverty line. Copay assistance, support groups. Um, they have programs for connecting you with specialists that you need, providing you with resources when you first get diagnosed or if you're having trouble and you can't get to the right people. So it's one of the reasons why we're so, gung ho and working so hard is because that is, yes, is because that is one of the things that we're looking at. We don't know that that's going to get put back in. So we have to push so that we can keep getting these resources to these patients, and it's life-saving resources. Like if Maddie had had those resources or known how to active access access them, um, her story might have been a little bit different. Maybe not, but she would have probably been diagnosed earlier. She would have probably been able to, manage this a little better before like at least for a while until it got to the lung transplant stage and things like that. So, yeah.
Okay. So speaking of that, so this year was the second year you were able to go to Washington.
Yes. Yeah, it was really cool. So yeah,
So
so because of our success with fundraising the last 2 years, I actually got invited to go to Washington, D.C. to advocate. Last year, it was a little bit different because we had these line items that we were trying to get extra funding for or get more funding for. So it was a little bit more about, trying to get these things accomplished. But this year, with the chaos in the world right now and things like Medicare and Medicaid being cut or speaking about being cut, and we basically just pleaded with them to keep it and to not cut any funding from us. It was like just let us keep what we have and whatever. But one of the cool things that happened this year, because I'm from the state of Ohio, we actually spoke to a senator face to face. So yeah, somebody let me in a Senate room and I actually spoke to a senator, which was super weird. It still blows my mind all the time that people give a crap about what I have to say. So, but yeah, so he was super receptive. It was Bernie Moreno. He was super receptive. He asked us a lot of questions about lupus. He asked us questions about our stories because our job as advocates is to go there and put a face and a story behind lupus so that they understand how serious it was. It is. And I didn't tell my story. I told hers. I told Maddie's because she should be here and she's not. So, you know what I mean? Like it was one of those things where it was like, yeah, my story is impactful, but Not as impactful as that, you know, and not as people need to be, as messed up as this sounds, people need to be reminded that this happens. They need to be reminded that this happens because people look at you with lupus and they're like, oh, you take some meds, you do your thing, you know, but it does kill people. People lose their organs, people lose their limbs. Like, it's not a joke. So, yeah, it was fun though. It's rewarding to go to DC for something like this. It's super rewarding.
And to think, see, you're a lot better at that than I would be, because I swear if I ever like met a congressperson or like a senator or hell even the president, I'm not entirely sure I'd be able to keep my mouth shut, as in, you know, so many of my favorite flavorful words
Not
would
gonna lie,
be.
you literally have to like, okay, this is what I'm here for. This specific thing is what I'm, because you have no idea like how difficult it can be. Because, you know, most of the time you're not talking directly to, like, speaking to a senator was a complete surprise. We didn't think that would happen. Usually you're speaking to staff, you know, somebody's assistant or something like that, you know. So him coming out was like, you know, there's actually a picture of me that one of the LFA photographers took where you can see my face. It was right after he walked up to me and I was shaking his hand and I was literally like this. Like I was shaking his hand and my face was like this because I did not we didn't expect to talk to them. So like I don't know that I had enough time to strategize what I would have said even. So it was one of those, but you do have to keep in your brain like I'm here for lupus. I'm here for lupus because it's like you do want to say some things, you know.
I'm sure, politics aside, I'm sure I would be like, all right, Shannon, whatever you do, don't say fuck more than once.
Yeah. That's the hard part for me is my defense mechanism, as everybody knows, is when I get uncomfortable, is to laugh or to make a really inappropriate, really weird joke that
Yeah, and I don't
nobody
think Washington is the best place for that. It's probably a good
no.
idea that I never go.
So I was literally this year, I was literally messaging Kimmy between meetings so I could like get my weird out before I had to go in so that I could like say inappropriate weird things to her so that I didn't go in there and be like, ask me about my weeno or something stupid, you know? Like like it's a struggle. It's a struggle.
Oh, Fred.
Yeah, I know. I know. I do the best I can, you know, that's all I could do.
Yes, 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 you do. Okay. All right. So, walk's coming up. We've already established that. So, other than all the things that we've already talked about, like with the health and where you're at with the losses and stuff like that, mentally, where are you? Because you've got a lot going on. You've had a lot of stuff happen. You're going 90-0 with all this stuff, and you know, having a body that hates you.
Yeah.
Your brain though, where's it at?
I think it disconnected a long time ago. I couldn't tell you where it's actually at, like geographically. No, I'm kidding. So it's really it's hard to say because it's kind of all over the place. But as of right now, my brain today, today, my brain is at the place, and I made it worse when I got on this podcast because my brain is at the place where my house is a mess, not because of you. My house is a mess. And I, again, as I've talked about before, I have legitimate OCD, like not, I like things clean OCD. So I have auction stuff on my table or raffle stuff on my table, like cups with the entries in it and all of that. So my table's covered, which gives me so much anxiety. I just went and picked up our box of shirts and stuff yesterday, so that's underneath the table. And I just spilled an entire can of Mountain Dew on the floor. So yeah, right now I just want to excessively clean my house, but overall, I'm more excited than stressed at the moment. I am stressed and it's chaotic and it's a lot to do and I've been extremely busy and but more than anything, I'm getting yelled at right now. More than anything, I look forward to this every year because as crazy as it sounds, and I think, and Emily and I have discussed this as well, having these people and having them commit to come here and to be together and to be with you, and obviously for something I'm so passionate about and means so much to me, all of the stress, all of the chaos, all of the OCD eye twitches are 100% worth it because it reminds you why you're fighting so hard. I mean, I have all kinds of reminders in my everyday life with Contra and my dogs and my immediate family and all of that. But looking around a room of people who not only love you, but love each other and love strangers is so incredibly rare. Um, there's not a person that's a part of, that's coming to this event who, if someone called them that they didn't know and said, I don't want to be here anymore, they wouldn't sit there on the phone with them and say, how do I help you? Like, what can I do? You know what I mean? And that is such a rare thing in any human being. So just being around that kind of energy, and I know we all talk all the time, but being able to actually hug those people who got you through gosh darn it, who got you through so much, like so much. This is the first time that I'm going to get to actually hug Kimmy. And Kimmy and I have been friends for like almost 5 years, and we have been through a lot. They have talked me through everything and been by my side. I've never had to wonder if somebody's got my back. And like being able to just be in a room with those people and hug them and be like physically with them, I cannot quite describe what that's like. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
So
it
the
is.
chaos is worth it was the point of that, like the chaos, and it's a little stressful to get everything planned with so many people and keep fundraising going. There's a lot of lids on the pots right now that we're all trying to keep straight, but the meal is absolutely amazing and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
That's awesome. All right, so people in the chat, I'm going to give you an opportunity because this is going to be a brand new segment called Random Questions with Shannon and his guest. So
Oh gosh, I'm
I
scared.
don't care what kind of question you have. Ask away, and we'll let Rosie here pick them. You should be, because this kind of just came right off my head right now.
Yeah, I saw it.
So this could go south
So bad.
quickly.
It'll be funny though. But I don't think in this chat they don't have rules of what they can type, do they?
They don't. Yeah, this is a no rules situation.
Oh no. If anybody asks why my forehead's so big, I'm leaving. Doesn't that thing look exactly like Shannon?
Yeah, we're twins. So for people listening on Spotify, I've got a little plastic skull, and we look just alike right now.
Right? That was great to point. In all honesty, how does it feel knowing that you single-handedly have saved
Well, it feels great,
so
Kimmy.
many people?
Honestly, I thought it would feel different. I thought my ego would be a little out of control, but it feels awesome. How about you, Rosie? It's not like you've changed lives. It's not like you have really done anything for anybody but yourself. I mean, the selfishness of raising money for people with
Yeah.
diseases, for changing the lives of people that you've been able to connect with, for all the advocacy. I mean, it's all a selfish nature. Let's be real here.
Okay, so to answer the question, I did, first of all, I didn't do it single-handedly. I did it with many hands. At first, at the beginning of what has like become this big group of people, it was me, Contra, and Aaron. But I never was alone in reaching out to people and all of that. So I do want to say that off the bat. But I am starting to realize, because it's been drilled into my head for the last 5 years, that I have affected change in other people in a positive way, and I'm grateful for that. But I didn't do it on purpose. So I don't know how to take credit for it, is my point. And the one thing I will say is that no one can save you unless you want to save yourself. So more than anything, I feel proud of not only the fact that like I put myself out there, but also the fact that these people took a tiny bit of support and built themselves into these amazing people. You guys were already amazing people, but I mean they just built and built and built on that and did all of the hard work to do that. So, yeah.
All right. See, Brian wants to know, how do you have so much for others when you have so little for yourself?
Because it feeds my soul. Um okay, one of the things that I've talked about a couple of times but not a whole lot is like how do I put it? If me feeling okay, one of the biggest things that threw me into depression when I got sick and stuff like that is the fact that I felt useless. I absolutely felt useless. I defined myself by work and the things I could do for other people and stuff. So when I lost that physical ability to do that, I felt like I had no value. And that was where my depression came in. So as weird as it is, on a day where I feel like, being a little bit hyperbolic, I feel like I'm dying because I'm sick. If I can still help somebody in that moment, then my day was good, even though it kind of sucked. And helping other people feeds my soul. And I don't, I don't know. It's not totally unselfish, I will say, because it makes me happy to see people win.
I I will say, uh, my answer to that is, I stockpile kindness. I mean, so all throughout my day or my week, I mean, I will always be a supportive person, and I will always care about people, and I will always try to do the right thing. Now,
Yeah.
there are moments in my life where the right thing and the kind thing are not always the same thing. So for me, I have to do the right thing. So I'll take the kind thing and put it in the metaphorical bank,
Yeah.
and any chance that I get, any random act of kindness, whether it's a smile, a hug, helping an old lady to her car, just whatever. Um, I have to do it because I've been the asshole. I've been the
Yeah.
horrible guy. I've been the selfish one. I've been that guy already, and I don't really have a desire to be that guy again. So
Yeah.
I have to do it. Otherwise, because I always tell everyone, you have to be able to look at yourself in the mirror. And if you look at yourself in the mirror and you don't like what you see because of some decision you made or some selfish act that you did, or the fact that you, instead of choosing to be kind, you chose to be an asshole. Um,
Yep.
it's a lot like what you see on the internet as a whole. You you have the ability in chats and in comment sections to be nice, to be kind, to be
Or to say
supportive.
nothing.
Or yeah, you have like, people misunderstand the ability to say fucking nothing,
Yeah.
and yet they don't. So
Right.
you have the ability, and yet the internet has shown me that there are great people in the world, and the people in the chat, and several other people that I've met through like online presence, and then people show me just how much I hate the human race.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
I have to be kind. And I will be kind until I have nothing left, and I will still be kind after that. So,
Well, and one thing I wanted to mention as well is like for the people who are saying, oh, the question about how does it feel to know you've saved so many people, or how do you give to people when you have so little? Everything that I have given, I have gotten back tenfold. None of this stuff that I have been able to do, I could have done without you guys, either because I couldn't have done it mentally, or you guys have helped me get there. And like DC and stuff like that. Super proud of the fact that I did that, but I could not have done that without you guys pushing me and without you guys being like, you can do this, you got this. I mean, I know every single person that's either in the chat, and you have heard me second guess myself a lot because I still do not feel like I'm capable of doing the things that I'm already doing because my brain keeps telling me you're not good enough and all of that. So everything that I have given that I can continue to give, I get back tenfold. Like kindness is like super karma. If you are kind to people, if you're supportive to people, if you just show the hell up, they will give it back to you so much more than you will ever feel like you've given.
I've always said, and sometimes it's really the only thing that you can do. The greatest thing that you can do, as you know, as a parent, as a friend, as a family member, is showing up.
Sorry, Jamie got me.
Luckily, I'll get back to that comment. So
I
showing up
agree.
is really the only is one of the greatest things that you can do. And now, unfortunately, sometimes uh, it may not be physically showing up, and a lot of
Right.
us,
But you
especially
don't
with
have
our
to.
friend
That's what
groups,
I've
yeah,
found.
yeah, that's the important thing is like you may not be able to
Right.
physically show up, but emotionally, uh, verbally, just mentally being there for somebody, whether you're just thinking about them, that day, and like you want to, like, hey, I feel like this person needs a laugh, so like I'll send a joke,
And
or
yeah, and it's really not that hard. Like most of the time, all people need, like, people will say these things like you saved me or whatever, like which icks me out, by the way, because it's way too
still,
nice and
huh?
gives me way too much credit. Yes, it will never not ick me out. I appreciate it, but it's weird. But the thing is that like most of what I did, this big thing that I did for people, was just listen. I just listened and said, "What do you need? I'll have your back. Like I'm here for you." Like, and that is not that hard. That you give somebody way too much credit for just. That's what we all should be doing, I guess, is my point.
Mm-hmm.
So it shouldn't be this big thing that somebody actually sat and listened to you and just was a decent freaking human being. That should not be so exceptional in this life, you know?
Mm-hmm. All right. So next question is Brian again, and he wants to know what our guilty pleasures are.
Mine change at different times. However, I gotta tell you guys this. It's probably gonna be surprising. I have been on a Gossip Girl kick lately,
Hold on.
and I do
Old or
know.
new?
No, the old one.
Okay.
I have no idea why, but I have been watching, like, okay, so, I'm not watching, when I'm watching TV, which I don't do a ton unless I'm sick or something. I have only been watching Gossip Girl for like the past few weeks, and I have no idea why. But I forgot how very beautifully horrible it is. Like, I'm sitting there. Okay. I do know what got me started on it.
We do.
So Okay, while we're on the topic of lupus, let me throw this out there really quick because I am plugged into the lupus chronic illness community on TikTok and social media and stuff like that. So when you have a chronic illness, especially on TikTok, you get grouped with a lot of different people. It can be horribly toxic. Like any other online community, a lot of people think, oh, chronic illness people, they're super just inspiring and doing. Not all of us are. There are people literally lying about things. There are people being awful, trying to steal your money, just like anywhere else. So, one of the people that kind of came for me for literally just getting them facts, she is. This person is almost 40 years old and tags their videos with Blair Waldorf and Gossip Girl. And it's like bows and like the whole thing. Like you can tell that they're trying really hard to like still be in that time era. And it made me giggle, which I know is not very nice. But she's really awful. Okay. She's awful. So then I was like, that's really odd. So I was like, oh, I have not even thought about that show in forever. And then I wasn't really paying attention one day and I just kind of clicked it on and I was like, this is terrible. Why is your why would your role model be anybody who is a character on that show? Like anybody. Like they're all so terrible and like yeah, anyway, so that's one of mine and then the other one I don't know. Listen, this is gross and people are going to think this is gross, but I will relax by watching surgeries. I'll get on YouTube and watch surgeries and like cyst extractions, and I don't know why it's interesting and soothing to me, but it is. So those are mine.
Uh,
Sorry, I went on a rant, but it was weird.
See, at first I was like, okay, ladies and gentlemen, ADHD is now
Yeah,
entered the
sorry about
building.
that.
But you wrapped it all together, so I'm proud of you on that one. So, I'd say my currently my biggest guilty pleasures is have you seen the like the the Bigfoot vlogs
Oh
on
my gosh, the
TikTok?
Bigfoot AI vlogs, they are my
Yes.
favorite thing.
That's a guilty pleasure. I don't know why I'm watching them, but they're
They're
stupid
hilarious.
and they're funny, and I went 4 hours watching them, and I was like,
Yeah.
what have I done with my day?
I have a thing with the people making babies too, like the babies out of like scenes of movies or whatever.
No.
Those are cute too.
Yeah, yeah. So I've honestly that's the only guilty pleasure thing that I have right now. That and re- rewatching just like the same scene from Dogma.
I have not seen Dogma in forever.
It's been forever. Like they were re-showing it in Kansas City, like a month or so ago, and I was like, I haven't watched that movie in forever, and I'm literally watching the same scene. It's this George Carlin scene where he's instructing Jay and Silent Bob about the unwritten rules of the road, and the truck driver.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know why, but that's my favorite scene, and I've constantly been rewatching it over and
That's
over
funny.
and over again. So.
I haven't watched that for a long time. All right, anybody got anything else?
Let's see here.
Those are some good questions, though. You guys made me all uncomfortable and feel gross because you're being so nice. So
I mean,
quit.
I guess we can get Jamie's. Can we get shock collars, please? I mean, I'm
Oh,
getting.
listen, I was talking to her yesterday. This is why she said that. I was talking to her yesterday about like, sometimes, and everybody has heard me say this. I'm not telling you guys anything I wouldn't say to your face. It is like herding cats with these people sometimes. It's like you got one person going that way, you got one person going this way, and then the other person's confused about where they're going. So I was telling Jamie yesterday that this would be a lot easier if we could just put shock collars on everybody.
That's fair. Yeah. All right. So, all right, Aaron, what's your greatest achievement up to this point in your life?
Building this. And I did it and I think the only reason it is such a great achievement is because I didn't mean to, or else I would have messed it up somehow. But literally, probably one of the things that I'm proudest of that I've ever done is creating this network of weirdos who, again, not only love me, but love each other and love other people and try to help and try to be kind. That is absolutely my greatest achievement.
So, I've got a question, Aaron. Are we talking overall or just currently? Because if it's currently, making Rosie cry 3 times in one episode.
Yeah, you should be proud of that. I feel like people see me on these and they're like, "Oh, she's so emotional." I'm really not.
No, no. So, that's, you know what? That's my other guilty pleasure.
Oh, I have another one actually. It just happened recently. So, do you guys remember the time? Kimmy already knew. Okay, so a few days ago, I made Kimmy laugh so hard she threw up.
Yes.
So that is up there. That's up there. Do you guys remember that?
Yes. Oh
What
my
is the
God.
best treatment for gluing your balls to your butthole? I don't know. They just got stuck there one day and I never knew how to get them off. They're still stuck there.
Mine are detachable, so the longer you're in a relationship, the more they're able to be detached, and you just give them to your partner because apparently you don't need them anymore.
Right.
But I would
Aaron,
think super
Aaron asked,
glue.
how do I teach adults to be adults? Okay, Aaron, as I was going with our friendship, I wrote some things down. I'll send you the list. I'm
Um,
still working on you, but you're getting there.
Alcohol and maybe the shock collar,
The shock collars. I'm telling you, the shock collars. Might not be
and
the
maybe
nicest thing, but it would be effective.
a chip in the brain because
Maybe.
at this point in our lifetime, as we are the same, close to the same age. That whole phrase of when did we become adults? Um, I
Yeah,
never feel like I know there are times that
I
I
don't
have
either.
to be an adult, and then I get off work, and then I'm like, do I really need to be?
I feel like I don't know, early 20s who just happens to be like having to do the tasks of a 40-year-old. Like I don't really feel like an adult. I'm like, okay, I got to handle this right now. All right, I'm gonna go back to watching Gossip Girl and
Yeah. See,
literally playing with toys.
yeah, yeah. Between video games and rewatching the same 4 shows. Um, you know, that's how I handle
Right?
adulthood, and I don't know if that's the correct way, but
Exactly, Jamie. Jamie said, "Who decided I should be in charge?" Exactly.
listen. At my job, whenever they made me an assistant manager and put me in charge of uh, literal kids, and then like grown ass kids, and older than me kids,
Yeah.
I questioned my entire life existence on why I thought being in charge was a great idea. So
When
I'm
I
not
walked
really.
into that Senate room back in May, I was like, I literally kept saying out loud, "Who the fuck let me in here? Like, how am I in this room right now? I should not be here." Like, it's so weird. Like, I've gotten to do these like amazingly cool things and talk to, cool people and talk to all these different kinds of people and stuff like that. But then my head is always going, who let me do this? I should not be doing this. Like, this is not something that Rosie should be responsible for. And like going to DC this year, our CEO couldn't go. So it was me and a lady from Cleveland that were representing the entire state of Ohio. And I was like, who looked at this weirdo and said, that's a good idea. Let's let her go represent the funding for the entire state of Ohio.
I mean, I always knew there was a hellmouth in Ohio, but like, apparently sending
Yeah.
Ohio's most weirdest person and somebody else
Yeah, it
DC,
was
where it's
weird.
filled with demonic people in general,
Yeah, I mean for sure, but
and
it was
weirder
like
people.
important stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, important stuff happens here. Why am I here?
listen, to braver woman than me, I don't know if I could handle it. So, all right, so we're gonna wrap that up. And
Okay.
so one final
Broken
thing.
Brain Squad is what BBS stands for. Sorry, someone just asked.
No, well, that's one thing that it can stand for.
Yeah, well,
That's what it stands
there
for
are
us.
many
But
translations.
um, so plug your the walks info right now.
Yes, so we have until the night of the 27th, which is Friday from this Friday, to raise as much as possible. So I am going to have Shannon put a link in the description of this video. So you can either donate to the link. I have Cashapp. My Cashapp is $Rawwrsie, Rawwrsie. I have PayPal, which is Rawwrsie2002 at gmail.com. And we also have a Venmo, which is Nicholas-Marola-1. All of the money goes, no matter how you donate, all of the money goes into keeping the Lupus Foundation of Ohio going. And if you're on TikTok, if you're not, let me know. And if you're interested in donating, if you don't want to donate directly to the site, I will send you a receipt. Um, I'm very, very overly, I don't know what the word is, to make sure I show everything because I do know that people are shady on the internet sometimes. So I make sure to screenshot what I got donated, when it gets donated onto the site so that everybody can see exactly that there is no money being misplaced. So there will be a link for the actual LFA site, and then you can donate in any of the other ways that way. Type A. Yes, thank you, Jamie. I needed that reminder that I'm type A because I bet nobody in this podcast figured it out.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. Huh.
I think the actual word is crazy, but we'll just go with type A.
Crazy is relative, and since
True.
we're family, it's there. So, all right. Well, you already know like the normal last question of the show, but I'm gonna change it up on you.
Okay.
Okay. So we talk about what you're grateful for, like in all these past shows, and I'm assuming none of that has changed.
No.
Um, I want you to tell the world one final thing that is important to you.
Oh, man, that's hard because there are a lot of things. Um,
I
like in any aspect or like in a
it
specific aspect?
in any and all aspects.
Okay, since we're talking about lupus fundraising, I'm going to tell you guys the thing that's always in my brain. And because we're talking about like the BBS and lupus fundraising and all of this, this is the thing that's always in my brain that drives me to being, I mean, I'm like that, I'm wired like that, but to being type A and to being, overly competitive and all of the things. So I am blessed to have a huge support system. Absolutely blessed. But I don't ever want to let a single one of you down, ever, for any reason at any time. Um, and that's been kind of a common theme in my life for the most part, which is how I ended up in some weird situations because I don't want to let people down. But I've learned how to keep boundaries now to the point where I'm not letting the wrong people drive that force. So it's become a positive thing in a way because I have the right people relying on me, the right people helping me, but my goal at all times, like I talked about earlier, is I want to make everything as good as I can for the people that have given me so much, so I don't ever want to let you guys down. And I'm struggling a little bit with that right now because I have been so sick, even though I know everybody understands and the chat's going to start yelling at me. I know you guys understand. I know it's not my fault. I know that like things are what they are, but I have not done as much as I normally do this year because of my health. And I'm fighting feelings of guilt for it because I feel like I didn't do what I should have done. So it's like a double-edged sword of feeling happy about doing that, but then also having the flip side of it where it makes you feel guilty sometimes.
Well, thank you for that, for the honesty. It's a load of crap, but thank you.
Rude.
Because I mean, you were like, everyone's gonna say no, you're not. You're not.
I
Okay.
know.
I
But
mean,
it's my brain. I know it's not other people, it's me.
I'm very aware of how your brain works because your brain and
Yeah.
my brain are similarly wired. Um, I will say this. Um, everything that you do, and you know this, you had to know this was coming. Everything that you do, it's far beyond anything anybody else would do. There's a lot of people in this world that would rather just silently suffer. There are a lot of people in this world that would rather just die without even a word being spoken. And the fact that you use your platform and your voice and literally everything that you have for others, there's not a fucking person in this world that would ever think that you're letting anybody down. And I can say in my unfeeling heart that, especially whenever I'm on camera, I've never been more proud of
Thank you.
anybody in my entire life that does these kind of things, because you're the only one of two people that I know that has took a diagnosis and said, this is not me. This is something I have, but this is
I
not me.
wasn't always that way though.
It doesn't matter. You're not that person
Yeah.
anymore.
Like I
That
do want to
person
make it
has
clear
died.
that if somebody's watching this and they're going through that, I was not always this way. You know what I mean? I went through that period of time where I just felt sorry for myself. And so to change that, it was important for me to change that so that I didn't feel that way anymore, like to own a solution and not the problem, But I appreciate that so much. Like people keep saying they're proud of me and like it's like one of those things where I'm grateful and I'm proud of me, but I also couldn't do this without what I have, without the people that I have. So they deserve some of the credit too.
Well,
Like,
yes, that is very true. They all, every one of them, deserves
yeah.
a little bit of credit. But at the end of the
Don't
day,
say every one of them like you're not a part of that.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I haven't done shit. That whole meme. Like, I did this, I did this, I didn't do shit. That's me.
Yeah, yeah, you did.
Um. Anyway, all of them can have some credit, but at the end of the day, it was you to get off the metaphorical couch to do shit. Like, you
The
got off of
literal
your
freaking
ass.
couch.
Yeah, literally, your couch
It's
and your
literally
bed. You
too.
literally got up and said, "Fuck
Yeah.
this! I'm not gonna live this way." And seeing everybody else out there, whether it be mental health, lupus, or finding a giant or casting a giant web out there to grab like every single fucking weirdo that you can find and bring them into your web, to where I'm not completely convinced that you're not going to be the end of all of us at some point.
Oh, it's for sure possible.
So I'm just throwing that out there. If for all the people listening, watching, if one of us mysteriously just like disappears, pretty sure it's gonna be her.
Oh, it won't be because of me, but if that happens as a result of me, I will avenge you. I'm just saying. That type A stuff, it goes hard for the people I love too. So
So we're gonna leave it at that. Rosie, thank you again for coming on the show. That there's a lot of people that watch and listen that absolutely love hearing from you. So and
Aw.
this
Again, that still blows my mind and I don't get it, but I'm glad.
listen, whenever I started the show, there was a lot of people that like. Whenever I took that break after the 5-year reunion, they were like, "Hey, when's the show coming back? When's the show coming back?
Yeah.
When are we gonna do another episode?" I'm like, "Damn, people."
Yeah, it's crazy to me still that people want to hear what I have to say. I got told for so long that nobody cared, you know what I mean? So it's still something that I'm trying to get through my head, you know?
Clearly, your numbers on YouTube and Spotify are not really registering because they honestly keep climbing. So
It's weird. You guys are weirdos.
yeah. So anyway,
No,
so
I'm
thank you very
grateful.
much. And
Thank you for having me.
although I will not be able to attend the walk, I will be there in spirit. I will be wearing my shirt, and
Absolutely.
if it gets here in time,
Listen, okay, you know what? I'll talk to you about that off here.
yeah, okay. Anyway, so
Thank you guys. Hey, guys in the chat too. Thank you so much for being here and supporting us.
yes, thank you. You guys are great, constant source of entertainment and thoughtfulness, and other things that I can't really say while I'm on camera, and my daughter is
All
in
right.
the other room. So, so anyway, so
Love you
thanks
guys.
again. I love you, sis, and I guess everybody else, I love you guys too. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Come on back for the next time we drop an episode. And that's a wrap on today's episode. Big thanks to Rosie Chapman for being here and being so open, not just as an advocate, but as someone who lives the reality of lupus every day. It still shows up for others. If you want to support her work or take part in the lupus awareness walk in Columbus, Ohio, check out the links in the bio of this episode. It's all there. Go give it a look. And as always, you can find In Your Head with Shannon Standiford on YouTube, Spotify, and Facebook. So wherever you like to listen, watch, or connect, I'm right there with you. It's honestly such a great feeling to be back, even when life pulls me away, even when I have to pause and reset. This show isn't going anywhere because there's always someone ready to share their truth and someone who needs to hear it. Everyone has a story. Every story matters. And this show will always be a place for that. This is In Your Head with Shannon Stanford. Real people, real stories, real talk.
What's up, guys? In Your Head with Shannon Stanford is a podcast where Shannon talks to everyday people with everyday problems. Everyone has a story, and every story should be told. So you listen right now to Shannon's podcast on Spotify and many other places, y'all. Come on, man, be the light. Peace.